Hey everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldi, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm all decked out in red, and actually so is Cory, Lyle, our guest from MVT Solutions. That is a Volatus Aerospace company, and we're going to be talking with Cory today. By the way, other big news, everybody, if you haven't seen it, the Dawn of Drones, the predecessor to this show, was designated the best drone podcast of 2023 by the Droning Company in their recent awards announcement. So just wanted to give that shout out really to my team, frankly. Mike is in the background and we've got a whole group of folks. And of course, to all of you, our fans, we love you on Valentine's Day and every day. So thank you so much for your support and for showing up for us. And we hope that we show up for you every single week. But you know what? It's all about data, folks. That's what this month is dedicated to. Thanks to Carasoft, our month sponsor. And, you know, Cory's business is focused all about geospatial data. And what perfect timing, Cory, because we were just talking before we went live, and I just got back from Geo Week in Denver. And what an amazing show. So much going on in this space. And this is what Cory does every single day. So Cory, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I've got my red on, like you said. Got some chocolates over here in the background.
He owes me, by the way. He said on Clubhouse he was going to send me chocolates.
Got to get that shipment out. Yeah, so to give the viewers a little bit more information on my background, I'm actually from San Diego, California, but residing in Quebec City, where MVT Geo-Solutions is based. I went to university for something completely unrelated to the geospatial industry and really found my calling after traveling the world and settling back down in San Diego. I was working at a civil engineering firm as an entry-level engineer tech and got introduced to GIS software. And really after that, I was hooked on the ability to just map just about anything spatially in a software and visualize that on a map and, you know, show your customers. So that experience grew with my curiosity, and I was uniquely positioned where I had this experience with LiDAR and geospatial data when this company invested in drones, and the unmanned systems team was looking to kind of build out their first level. So from there, it really just grew to aerial LiDAR, photogrammetry by drone, data processing, mapping, and that was in 2017. So LiDAR technology on drones was still a little new and not so trusted in the civil engineering and surveying industry. So it required a little bit of education and showing the external and internal clients that the proof is in the pudding. You know, it's possible to obtain survey grade data from the air with the drone. And in mid 2021, I relocated to Quebec with my family. And I had to leave that job behind in San Diego. And I just thought, you know, I think there's a company in Quebec City that's doing similar things. And I immediately reached out regarding a project manager position. And then that role kind of developed into bigger things and growth, personal and professional. And I'm just super happy to be here. My team that I have behind me, or I'm behind them, it's really fun.
Well, that's awesome. You know, this is not our leadership podcast. That's the full tilt. But I love what you said, Cory, because I think it's so important for people to hear that you might study one thing and then life takes you in a completely different direction. And somewhere along the way, you find your passion, and you clearly found that. So good for you. And I think it's a great leadership example for everybody out there. And so NVT is an acronym, right? I mean, it stands for 3 specific words, part of your core mission.
Correct.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the M stands for mastery. So emphasizing the importance of a movement and an innovation-driven team. V is for vision, so a vision to remain leaders in the geomatic space. And T is for technology, so staying at the forefront of, you know, what's being developed in the technological space for geospatial.
I love that. And so let's talk about MVT. And I believe we have a video that's going to illustrate some of this. So why don't we roll that? And then Cory, you talk us through what we're seeing.
Yeah, so this video is actually a really unique project, not an everyday project, but one that, you know, we've done a couple of years now. And It's in a really remote location in Quebec province, and it requires our drone pilot to mobilize to multiple sites via helicopter. So, we've got weight limitations to get on the helicopter, but for LiDAR missions with the drone, there's a minimum amount of equipment that we need. So logistically, it's a fun project. Our pilot gets to go to these amazing areas that are pretty much untouched, and do LiDAR surveys and photogrammetry missions of areas to monitor some erosion along this river. So it's a fun project, and we got some cool content out of it.
Now, for this particular project, was it focused on, ground, the surface, or was it bathymetric and looking below the water as well?
This was just a ground, surface topographic. No bathymetric data was collected on these missions, but we were also taking some ground control points and some readings on our GPS for the client that was kind of staking out some information, some points that they want to monitor, over time.
Now, you mentioned helicopters, Cory, and I want to get to this idea of the challenges that you're that you observed in the geospatial technology, trying to collect this data, because as we all know, helicopters are expensive, as you said, very kind of cumbersome with equipment and whatnot. So tell us some of the challenges that you were observing in the geospatial industry, and how drone and LiDAR and other advanced technologies like in this new ecosystem are really changing the game.
Yeah. So I guess challenges with that we're seeing in the geospatial industry in relation to manned aircraft is just timely data acquisition. So a lot of our clients, it's really fast burn projects. We can get projects in the peak season where it's we get contacted one day and we're delivering data 3 days later. So it's not impossible to mobilize a helicopter crew or a manned aircraft, but it becomes a little bit more logistically difficult to get an aircraft to a certain area and survey those areas. Sometimes they're small, so they don't really warrant a manned aircraft. And having a drone and a LiDAR that is on our drone, we can mobilize rather quickly. Get there, get the data, process the data within the same day. So just being agile is one of the things that can address those challenges in the geospatial industry.
Now, you mentioned that there was some hesitation initially back in the day when you first started about employing drone technology in certain, areas, whether it was construction or whatever. Can you give us a really just kind of an overview of the different market sectors, if you will, that are deeply involved in using geospatial information that lend themselves to drone technology and all the different sensors we're going to be talking about here shortly?
Yeah. So primary clients that, or industries that we're dealing with when we talk about LiDAR is survey industries, survey companies, civil engineering companies that require high precision data across large areas. Right now, or the traditional method of going out with boots on the ground and collecting total station data or GPS points, it's really accurate. It's been reliable for many years, but sometimes it can be dangerous if it's on a busy road or on a hillside that is heavily forested. It's difficult to send somebody out there and still remain within the safety regulations of your company. And so having a drone, putting it in the air, getting millions of points in this area that you can bring back in the office, and you're not losing that data. You don't need to send somebody back out. That's a really big win for those types of industries. Forestry, the video that we saw previously was environmental monitoring. So those types of industries can really leverage the data that we're getting from the drones.
So public safety and security, are they using geometric data too? Because I did see at GeoWeek some of these folks, I saw Denver Fire walking the floor, and it's not always, intuitive that, oh yeah, public safety will be, is interested in this data as well.
Yeah, it's not one of the, I guess, the primary services we're providing out of MVT at the moment, but some of my colleagues across Volatus, they're really dug in with the public safety sector. Photogrammetry is a very interesting concept for post-accident monitoring or modeling a accident scene. I was just discussing with my colleague the other day about one where he was using photogrammetry to monitor a building that had collapsed, and he was able to calculate the volume of concrete that was that caused the collapse of this building in a certain area. So it was really fascinating to hear how the geospatial data is being leveraged in market sectors that we're not serving, on a day-to-day basis.
No, that's super cool. And by the way, Cory, we have a bunch of people out there on the AVSI YouTube channel. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining in. And don't forget, we are live. So if you have questions for Cory, if you just want to tell us where you're from, give a shout out. We love all of that. So please jump into the chat today. We'd love to hear from you. So I want to walk this back for a second, Cory, and I want to go a little bit more basic because we have people out there. I don't know exactly who they are. I don't know how advanced they are in the industry, if they know all of these different terms. So help explain now, again, at the risk of oversimplifying things and insulting some people's intelligence out there, we do have non-drone people, just lay people that watch this show. So can you explain, what LiDAR technology is and why it's so important in geospatial applications?
Yeah. So LiDAR is an acronym for light detection and ranging, or recording, depending on who you ask. So it is a laser sensor that emits pulses of light, and that light can penetrate not through vegetation, but it has the ability to bounce off objects, and that time and distance from the LiDAR sensor is recorded. So you get a XYZ positioning of every single point. And the real value of LiDAR versus photogrammetry applications is you can have this pulse of light coming from your drone or aircraft, and as it gets further from the aircraft, the pulse of light, it gets a little bit wider in its diameter, and it can glance off a leaf on a tree. You get one pulse of light that returns to the LiDAR sensor, but the rest of the pulse continues down, eventually, hopefully getting the ground. So we're able to penetrate through vegetation and extract the bare earth underneath a canopy. So it's super powerful. Different LiDAR sensors have 2 returns, so it's powerful enough to bounce off one object but continue until a second return. You have other LiDAR sensors that can get 5 returns, or some of the manned aircraft sensors can go beyond that.
Yeah, we're gonna have I think we have an image of a LiDAR sensor, perhaps. There we go. So tell us what we're seeing here. This is kind of the imagery you get using LiDAR.
Yeah. So this is a LiDAR point cloud, exactly. So it's showing you a cloud of LiDAR points that we collected in this certain area. Millions of points. Each point has a specific XYZ location, and with all of the metadata contained in each point. So you have GPS time, you have intensity values, you can have distance from the sensor. We're able to use all of that metadata and write scripts or macros to extract the ground or other information depending on the application. So,
Cory, what do all the different color differentiations in that image depict?
I think that one is just based on elevation. So you can view a LiDAR point cloud based on the metadata. That one was elevation, so you can have a different color scale based on the elevation ranges. You can see intensity, which can be viewed kind of as a grayscale, or other colors, which kind of things that have high reflectivity are really going to pop out, like paint striping on a road. Or our GCP targets. Sometimes if we use a checkerboard, you'll be able to see that in the point cloud. And then I think as well, we can see scan angle and things like that help us run through our QA QC of the data before we deliver.
Okay, the quality assurance, quality control. Okay, I thought that's what you meant. I'm like, all right, acronyms, let's keep it up here. Yes. And so you kind of contrasted LiDAR with photogrammetry, but can you explain to folks what photogrammetry is? Is this just like a series of quick pictures in a row?
Yeah, so photogrammetry is like the acquisition of many images and then tying those images together based on their pixels and aerial triangulation. So the really cool videos and digital twins that you see maybe on LinkedIn or on other social media accounts, that's photogrammetry, getting that almost realistic 3D model is one derivative of photogrammetry. An orthomosaic image is also another derivative where it looks essentially like Google Earth or Google Maps, but you can get resolutions, less than a centimeter. So you're looking at an aerial image of your site, which is very useful when you want to do some site mapping, planometrics. The 3D applications are really, really interesting for, like we said, public safety, analyzing maybe an accident site, and as well with the AI that's coming out these days, concrete monitoring. If you're doing a really high-level photogrammetry mission, then you can extract cracks in concrete or rebar, and then monitor that over time for change.
Yeah, it's amazing. You're mentioning artificial intelligence, 3D digital twins. We're all over the floor at GOE, of course, and sensors, and oh, by the way, drones. So I want to talk about the sensors because LiDAR obviously originally, probably when you started, ginormous, right? Really big, and now the size of those has shrunk down to the point where now they're still, I think, relatively decently big, where the drones that I was seeing that they were attaching these to were pretty hefty drones. But talk to me a little bit about the sensors that you're employing at MVT and how they're enabling these geospatial missions.
Yeah. So when I started, it was a pretty big LiDAR sensor, something that was maybe meant more for a helicopter, but with heavy lift drones, you can get a pretty big sensor off the ground. But with the development of smaller sensors, we're able to maximize flight time on maybe a medium lift drone, and with cameras as well. We're leveraging DJI products for some of our photogrammetry missions. For LiDAR, we've partnered with Yellowscan, which we really enjoy their technology. And with the M600 being discontinued, we've also looked at partnering with Inspired Flight and Free Fly to make sure we can get those sensors off the ground and fly, for a duration that can acquire quite a bit of data. We want to get up in the air. We want to get as much data as possible, and we want to make sure that that's done in a safe and reliable manner.
Yeah, so that's a great segue to talk about some of these drones. You just mentioned a handful of them. It was insane, Cory. Harris Aerial, and some of these are the blue drones, right? No Chinese components, not made in China. Harris Aerial is one of those blue UAS companies. They had this giant gas tank iteration of one of their, and this thing was big. On the floor. Of course, Inspired Flight was there. They just had a release. I'm sorry, it's not coming to mind. But if everybody follows me, I'm doing a piece for Drone Life about all the different drones from the floor. So we'll talk more about that. But DJI had a presence, at the show as well. But your go-to was one of their drones, and now you're looking maybe for some other larger drones for this mission.
Yeah, and even though we're based up in Canada, we do have clients that are starting to ask a lot about Blue UAS, and they want to know what our alternatives are to DJI products, and so we need to be ready for that shift because it's coming, and Canada is going to follow pretty closely on what is set as the standard in the States.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was remiss, Cory, when we talked earlier about some of these markets and different sectors that you work in. We didn't put up the image that you sent to us, and I want to talk about that because you have a very broad scope of your services, and you cater to a number of diverse industries. And I think this is a great illustration of that. Can you talk us through what we're seeing in this kind of collection of photos?
That's exactly. It's a perfect way to describe it. A collection of photos. So, we get involved in some GPR, ground penetrating radar, not from a drone. For this application, you see one of my colleagues, she's got the screen in her hands. It was actually on a sled for this application. And then you've got a shot of the helicopter. I think that might have been the same project where we had to mobilize to different sites to monitor some of the erosion. We've got the team launching and landing the drone from a boat there. Some of the sites that we're working on in Quebec are really hard to get to, and we got to be creative with how we get to them, and the clients have pretty high standards for safety as well. So we need to make sure, however crazy our idea is, that it does have some safety backstops to it. I think there's a photo there of one of my colleagues measuring some ground control points, and then a night mission as well. So that was a pretty cool one, where we had to fly at night because of this area was in the center of town, and we can't be flying over people. So we flew this church, and then we did a cloud-to-cloud registration with some terrestrial scans to create a nice mixed point cloud of aerial and ground LiDAR.
That is so cool. And the one picture you talked about, the ground penetrating radar, right? GPR. Mm-hmm. Do you guys also use handhelds? Like a Geo-Systems had their BLK. The people were just, NavViz had their like strap-on backpack version of a LiDAR scanner that they're walking around the floor and scanning the whole Colorado Convention Center. Do you guys employ those as well?
We do. We adapt to what sometimes we have clients that say, hey, can you do this? We've scanned inside of holding tanks before with terrestrial scanners, but we also are fortunate to work with customers that have a NavViz or terrestrial scans. So a lot of the planning of our aerial mission is with our customers to make sure that we're collecting data that is going to be able to be aligned with the ground data that they're also acquiring, and bring those two clouds together to fill all the gaps.
And do you also use the quadruped UGVs, like the spot dogs? Because what I was seeing on the floor were a number of, well, of course they're always walking the floor, right? They're always walking. There we go. You got the little spot dog walking around. Everybody's taking pictures with it. But of course at Geo Week, they're attaching, advanced LiDAR scanners and other things that can be used in some of these applications.
We haven't got into the spot dog yet. We're focused on the drone aerial LiDAR and some of the other solutions that we have experience in.
Okay, well, very cool. Well, let me ask you, because obviously you're using, besides the aerial, you've got the ground penetrating radar, handheld scanners, all these things. It seems to me, obviously, the software, right? You got the hardware, but it's all about the data. So the software on the back end is critical. What are you using for some of these things?
Everything. We try not to keep ourselves tied to one software, because anybody will tell you that actually uses the softwares on the market is every single one does one thing maybe a little slightly better than the other. So we really adapt. We use Pix4D a lot for photogrammetry. I think a lot of people in the industry are using Pix4D, but we also leverage Agisoft. We have SiteScan, which I believe is an Esri product, for a lot of cloud computing, reality capture when it requires it, because reality capture can just be really good with 3D models, that high detailed stuff. And then with a lot of the YellowScan products and DJI products, there is proprietary software that processes that data. So all the LiDAR providers out there, you're kind of tied to their software to process their at least the raw data off of the sensor. And then we also use TerraSolid. TerraSolid is one of the best post-processing softwares for LiDAR, line matching, classification, like DTMs. So we're really we use it all. We try to adapt, and when company's coming out with new things, we're not shy to go try it and see if it can do better than what we've been used to.
Yeah. What about for flight planning?
Flight planning, UGCS is kind of the standard that we use for LiDAR missions. It's just they're always improving it. The terrain following feature is super critical for our LiDAR missions to make sure that we're getting that adequate overlap based on our altitude and our speed, scan angles. UGCS, it integrates with all of the different drones that we're using. So it's kind of the standard for us. We use DJI Pilot if we're putting the drone up for some imagery, but UGCS is kind of the trusted planning software we use.
I imagine, Cory, there's a lot of specialized knowledge you need to do these LiDAR, these photogrammetry, geospatial missions, not just to fly them, but also then on the back end to be able to understand that data in whatever form it takes, whether it is a digital twin or some other 3D model, or even just a spreadsheet that you're giving to a client.
Yep.
So you guys actually provide training for
Yep.
this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our training program, we really cover all aspects. Piloting up in Canada, we're doing Transport Canada basic and advanced operations. There's the practical, theoretical, and then also the flight review. So we have certified Transport Canada flight reviewers that you can set up a meeting with us or an appointment, and then we'll go in the field and do the flight review so that you can become a Transport Canada advanced operator. And then after that, the next step is data acquisition. Depending on what our customers are interested in acquiring, we can provide just flight planning training in UGCS, photogrammetry best practices, LiDAR acquisition training, customized solutions. If we have clients that come to us and say, hey, I've got experience flying these types of missions, I'm looking to get into this, can you guys help us out? And we'll come up with a syllabus and make sure it makes sense for them, and make sure that they're able to get out there and collect the data and have a quality product at the end of it. And then after data acquisition is the data processing. So we train on everything that we use and trust, yellow scan products, POSPAC as well for trajectory processing, DJI Terra, Terra Solids, Terra Scan, Terra Match, and Terra Modeler are all three popular products that we train on. And we're actually adapting our training program for TerraSolid to be more module based. So our clients can look at an a la carte menu and pick which module they want to learn about, be it road surface analysis, volumetric calculations, just general processing of LiDAR data in TerraSolid. So it's something that we're working on right now. It's traditional methods, but in person or virtual live, but we're actively working on making our training on demand. So if somebody wants to just sign up and have it done at whatever time they want, then they're able to see a pre-recording, and then they'd have support after that with us.
Oh, well, that's great. I mean, I imagine for operations like this, hands-on training is kind of key. Yeah. I mean, to understand the concepts and maybe seeing other people doing it, I think on demand would be great, but I don't think there's any substitution for lack of a better term, stick and rudder, no kidding, boots on the ground training for something, for like these kind of complex operations, because, as you kind of already walked us through some of these are really in difficult locations. They're complex operations, sensitive sites. These are, I think these are things that lend themselves to the hands-on training, but I think it's great that you can provide it on demand as well. So how do people sign up for this? Like, you're just doing this in Canada right now, the traditional training, is that right?
Canada and the States. So we travel all over to give training if there's interest. I believe on MVT Geo-Solutions on our website and on the Volatus Aerospace website, we have a training landing page that you can learn more about what we're offering. As I said, still in development, the on-demand training videos, but you can reach out to me or anybody at Volatus to get more information on the training. But like you said, I think that the hands-on training is definitely more fun. Seeing your customer get in there and manipulate the data, that's kind of what we're all passionate about. So
yeah, absolutely. So for a newbie, right, someone that's new in this industry that wants to maybe become a part of your endeavors, how would they do that? Like, where would they even start?
Oh, the internet. A lot of us, like my colleagues, and when I started, it was a lot of just trial and error, right? You get your hands on some data, and in your free time, you're just testing as much as possible. There's so many free trials out there, and so many resources on the internet now that you can really learn anything you want. But I guess if somebody wants to get into it, they need to decide if do they want to be a pilot, do they want to process data, do they want to do both, and that's going to kind of determine their route. And are they interested in LiDAR, photogrammetry, thermal? There's so many different things out there that are drone based and in the geomatics industry. I've got colleagues that went to university for geomatics, while I've got others that have their technical certification in geomatics, and I've got myself that I have no formal certification for geomatics, but it's just years of experience, hands-on experience that maybe you're not getting at the university level or with a technical program. It's that project level experience that really leads to growth.
So in MVT, you have, and in Canada, I know they don't call them drone pilots, they call them RPAWs.
Yeah.
Remotely piloted aircraft system certified pilots, is that right? Through Transport Canada, as well as flight evaluators and geometrics experts. Am I missing any category of professionals in your organization?
So we've got pilots, dual certified pilots, so Transport Canada Advanced Ops and FAA Part 107. So if we need to, help out on any initiatives south of the border with our colleagues under Volatus, then we're able to do that. Also the trainings, jumping back to the trainings, if we're going down to give a training on a certain solution, then our pilots need to be able to actually fly the drone for our customers. So dual certified pilots, we've got holders of bachelor's degrees in geomatics, technical certifications in geomatics, and then as a subsidiary of Volatus, we also fall under all those other SFOC certifications that they have for BV loss, and I think most recently there's the Part 137. Let me see in my notes.
That's agricultural in the
exactly.
U.S. Yeah, so SFOC is the Special Flight Operations Certificate that falls under the Transport Canada more advanced operations like beyond visual line of sight or BV loss. So just to translate that for folks that don't know. By the way, I did interview, this was a little while ago, but I think still highly relevant. I interviewed Volatus CEO Glenn Lynch for an article for Inside Unmanned Systems magazine, and I talked about both Canada and Australia because you all follow the JARIS SORA model of, of course, the U.S. has to go its own direction with Part 107, a little bit different from Europe and Canada and Australia. But I do outline what the requirements are and what's going on in Canada from a regulatory standpoint. If you guys want to check that out, it's on my website. But, it looks like, you need like this whole group of people to do this mission very well. So super cool. Do you have training sessions scheduled like where people can join you in the United States? For example, hey, I know we're going to Texas to this location. It's open for people outside of, this one group to sign up as well. Do you have anything like that coming up, Cory?
A lot of the training we give is private. So our customers contact us and based on our pricing model, they determine how many students they want to bring into that training. Yeah. We kind of explored that possibility of having set dates for certain trainings and kind of an open registration, but we just found that it wasn't as successful as we thought it would be getting people engaged on that. So it's more of a as needed basis when our clients reach out.
So is it like a train the trainer when you go to a private entity that's looking for this kind of training? Like, in other words, are you training their drone pilots and professionals so they can do the work?
Yeah. I think for the most part, that's what we're doing. We have a lot of our clients are trying to get into what we're doing, or maybe it's a company that their primary industry is not drones or geomatics, but they can benefit a lot from that technology. So they've been using subcontractors for some time now, and they're ready to bring it on because they've done their research and they can see that that's kind of where the market is shifting to. So you've got companies where they're hiring outside people to come in, or onboarding individuals to make up this drone group or the geospatial group, while you've got others that say, hey, we've got I was just reading an article actually this morning about a company in the States where they bought a roofing company in Texas, and they were, but they're from San Francisco, and they were using drones to do roofing inspections and analysis with AI. So it was kind of cool because there was like two industries collide, and it sounded like it was really successful. So kind of got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, no pun intended. The sky is the limit, really when it comes to drones and geospatial technology in particular. But like you said, geospatial tech there's autonomy built in, but it's multi-domain, and putting all of those different pieces together, using the right sensors for the right job. That's where someone like you, Cory, comes into play. And quite frankly, the level of expertise that you bring to the table, I think is really key. And perhaps why, like if you throw out a generalized training, it's a little bit intimidating. I mean, even just the terminology you're throwing around in this show, which is your world every single day, is probably for the average drone pilot not something they're used to doing, right? So, it's really cool that you're doing this. And I was totally geeking out at the show, and I was so excited to talk to you because of what you're doing. So I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to deviate from the script here and ask you, as you reflect on all the different missions you've done, is there one that really stands out? Is there like a story that you'd want to share of, the just incredible application of autonomous technologies, whether it was, aerial or otherwise, in geospatial applications that really was just made such a difference, that you'd want to share with us?
Oh, that's you did.
I'm sure it's like every day, because I've been again researching for some of these articles, just the time savings, the money savings, whether instead of a helicopter, of course, as your picture showed, there are jobs where you still use a helicopter. I mean, this drone technology has not replaced it. It's complemented it, in some respects. So
I guess so many of our projects, like every single project, is so different in the work that we're doing. So we really have to be on our toes, and the planning that goes into each project isn't cookie cutter, right? So we do have some that are larger scale that we're looking at. AI, it's everywhere, and we're like, we need to start leveraging this more, and so it's something that we're considering for this upcoming season on a multi-year contract of trying to map agricultural fields using AI. So it's like a surface area a calculation based on crop coverage for different providers, and all of that gets kind of stacked into a map book and a report. And traditionally before AI, it's a lot of manual clicking, and you need a lot of people to cover the areas that we're trying to cover. So right now we're in the process of exploring the different options for AI, and get those maps produced in a quicker way. But it's not something that we've employed yet that I can tell you the whole story on.
Yeah, no. So, look, everybody's throwing around AI, right? Like AI this, AI that. Is it really even AI? I guess my question to you is, where, in what section, in what portion of the operation would AI be employed? In other words, is it during collection in the drone, which I think a lot of drones have some kind of AI infused, kind of at the edge where, it's helping with the collection of the data? Is it on the back end where after you've collected the data, then, for example, in an agricultural field, perhaps over time, instead of a farmer or somebody else eyeballing or doing math by hand of calculating, oh, look, here's the growth of these, this crop over time, is AI then, kind of doing the analytics and calculating that on the back end, or is it both?
Yeah, I think the biggest opportunity, you touched on acquisition or data processing. The biggest opportunity that, our team that we want to look at is on the back end on processing. How do we automate some of the processes that are currently manual. So we're getting raw data in after a mission, and we're going through different steps to correct the trajectories or the aerial triangulation for image processing. There's a lot of opportunity there to kind of group different processes together, have a script developed or a module that can read the data and determine the parameters to process the data and output the data. Then you have the human aspect there to just do the quality control before we're delivering to the client. I think that's a really big opportunity that we want to look at, because as the missions get bigger, there's more flights, there's more data, and there's more room for human error in those processes.
Well, I'm kind of laughing because on our full crew show, we actually dedicated the month of January to AI ethics. And, that's one thing I think our panel of 4 experts talked about was kind of that human in the loop, right? Like, in other words, AI is awesome to help augment what it is you're doing, but it's not quite replacing humans. You still have to use your term, QA, QC, to make sure, this is legit. And, in some cases, Cory, I imagine, for example, in construction, someone, or engineering, architecture, right, ACE, someone with a license has to sign that dotted line before, right? So they have to validate all of the things that are going into it. And I don't think that's going to change, but it's great to hear that you're looking at leveraging this, because it obviously is the future. And speaking of the future, as you look forward, it's still February, but already mid-February almost, and the year's already clicking along. What else do you see in your crystal ball for MVT solutions for 2024?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to earlier that Volatus, MVT and Volatus, we've engaged in a reseller agreement with Yellowscan, which is super exciting for Canada. So strengthening our equipment offering for our clients, but also, keeping some of that strength of equipment in-house and leveraging the products that Yellowscan is putting out. And so recently, in the last 6 months, I've seen a little bit of more buzz on topobathymetric LiDAR, something that we've dipped our toes in the last year.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Or pun intended, depending on how you want to look at
exactly.
that.
So it's super exciting. It's not something that we have a ton of knowledge already in, but we've definitely got into the acquisition aspect. And Yellowscan just recently released the Navigator topobathymetric LiDAR sensor that is kind of developed for drones. So it's become more accessible for us as a reseller. It's kind of right there, and we're hoping to maybe get more involved with that and respond to the demand that we're seeing from our clients, and leverage that technology for our partnerships. Because in Quebec, there's a lot of bodies of water, and across Canada, there's a lot of need for topobathymetric LiDAR, and with the integration of Yellowscan, it just makes it that much easier. We can collect and process all in the same ecosystem of products of our other LiDAR sensors. So topobathymetric, and then also the shift in high accuracy LiDAR. So we're seeing some government agencies in Quebec start to open the door more to aerial LiDAR for their roadways and like transportation applications, because with a sensor that we're flying with Yellowscan, we can get sub 3 centimeter accuracy, absolute accuracy on paper. The final product is much better than that if we're laying out good ground control and having our checks. Like, we're seeing centimeter accuracy from LiDAR, which is really big for companies that are maybe sending those surveyors out there on the ground to get that data. They can keep their personnel safe out of roadways, and then they can have all that data already in the office and do their analysis and their mapping. So that's super exciting, because we're uniquely positioned, because we've got one of those sensors in our office.
That's so cool. Yellowscan is out of France, I believe. That's their headquarters. For those that don't know, big player in this space. So really cool that you guys have partnered with them. And when you're talking about all the water you have in Canada, they did have USVs, uncrewed surface vehicles, at the show. One about, I don't know if you can see it, about this thing was so cute. CHC nav, and maybe it's chalk nav. I don't know how they pronounce it. But this orange, like basically little mini boat with the bathymetric sensor on board that can get into really tight places, maybe even in a way that a drone can't. So looking forward to seeing all these really cool gadgets and gadgets that you're going to be taking on board, Cory, and the ones you already have, doing a great job out there. So amazing. Well, we're getting super close. In fact, I think we're at time. I knew our time would fly today. But no, again, pun intended, because you have so much going on. But as we close out the show, Cory, two things. One is any closing comments, and number two is please tell folks how they can reach you.
Yeah, so you can follow us on LinkedIn, Volatus and MVT. We have 2 pages that you can stay up to date with anything new that's coming out that maybe I didn't mention here. And closing notes, just some positivity and love to everybody on Valentine's Day. Thanks for tuning into the conversation. It's been fun, a new experience for me. So appreciate everybody.
We did a great job. It was very fun. So thank you everybody out there for joining us. Have a great day. We will see you next week with Speedbird Aero. When you talk about data, guess what? They're doing drone delivery. You might know that, but they're also doing UAS traffic management. So stay tuned for more. We are out here.